Hello, this is Jon Speelman with my video version of my latest column, which is in fact number 225. So we have a square column, 15 squared, and a square year, 45 squared. Anyway, isn't that exciting? So, it's what I've termed it. What did I call it? I was going to call it a few crossings more, and since I'm speaking about Spassky first, I thought that'd be rude, so I've said a few patterns more. And so firstly, I have to say I'm sorry to hear that Boris Spassky has died. I know he was very ill. He had quite a bad stroke, I think. He wasn't very well, but he had been in Moscow for a while. And I didn't know him very well. I played him 5 times. I had a loss and 4 draws with him. I didn't know him very well, as I said, but he was very pleasant at the board and also in post-mortems and things. Very jovial, actually. And I've said he's a natural player in the line of sort of Capablanca, Karpov and later Anand. So his pieces just seem to gravitate to good squares. But he was also a jolly good attacking player once he got the chance. And I didn't want to, this column is not about that, so I didn't want to do a column on him. But I did pick up one game, which I put at the end of the database, which is a game I've used here before, a game against Yuri Averbach, in which he just sacrificed a piece to change the course of the game quite early on, and it worked. And I'm saying, well, the thing is, when you sacrifice a piece for a pawn and some positional advantages, you're realising that if you don't, then you're going to be positionally squished or squashed. And so it made sense, actually. I also hadn't realised it was a playoff, so it was just the two of them. But, it doesn't matter. It was the right thing to do probably anyway. Anyway, I've got a mixture of problems, and they're in here, and I've got some problems and some studies and a couple of games as well. And I'm just going to go to the database and see what we've got. So it's this one, actually, yeah. So it starts, I said it's a pattern, and this is, oh, have I got this? No, that's the wrong one, sorry. That was the one I picked up the Spassky game from. It's actually column 225, which is here. And the first one is, I had this idea, I like baths rather than showers, and I was lying in the bath on Thursday morning thinking about this particular geometrical idea. You can see the solution there anyway. But, I was thinking, it's unusual for Novotnys, these are all Novotnys, to involve two pieces using diagonals. I was also thinking today about using it with a bishop with 2 rooks, which must also be perfectly possible and will have been done. Anyway, this is a mate in 3, and the solution is knight e4, which is on the intersection of these 2 squares. So it's a Novotny. And if we go back here, I don't see it. There we are. And this interferes with either the bishop or the queen. Queen takes is probably the main line. Rook checks, and you can't take with the bishop. And mate. Or bishop takes. Rook checks, takes. So a very simple mechanism, really. The problem is getting it sound. And the thing is that with a modern engine, you don't need more than an engine. It's only a mate in 3, so it will pick it up immediately. You don't need special software. This sorts out cooks or unsoundnesses in seconds, if that. So it was very easy, starting with this mechanism, a knight on e4, the 2 rooks, the 2 diagonals, the king on e1, to get a version that worked. And then I thought, what about double... I'm going to save this, okay. Then I thought, what about double Novotnys? I had this idea, and I produced this. Again, I said after getting out of the bath and getting dry, it took about, I don't know, half an hour, less than half an hour to get a soundish version of these things. So the problem is you can't play knight d5 because the rook b3 checks, so you play a Novotny first. Rook takes knight, there's bishop g2 mate. Now you go knight d5 with your Novotny, rook takes, bishop to their mate, or bishop takes, rook to their mate. And I was quite pleased, especially with this one. But then I went out to lunch with people. I go out about once a month with some chess bods. And I showed them these. And somebody, Matt Reed, who's a guy who's one of the managers at the chess shop, I wrote to him. I'll check the form of words in the column before I actually send this. And he's also a chess boxer, by the way, a big bloke. He Googled and he found a triple Novotny, which is a magnificent thing. And this really, I mean, this would have taken a long time. I had an idea of having two rooks and a queen and things interfering, the same sort of thing I had, but it looked very hard. And this beautiful problem, which is a guy called Rolf Trautner, mate in 4 in 1996, is a triple Novotny. Magnificent problem, and it is sound. I mean, you can check, as I said, just with, I don't know, Stockfish will do it for you perfectly well. You don't need. So you start with knight to there, which threatens f4 check or queen e4 mate. So bishop takes knight f4 or rook takes queen e4 mate. So you have to go here. And then you go knight e7, a second Novotny, threatening queen takes either c5 or c7 mate, and if another variation, new variation, knight takes knight is mate, and so you have to go queen a7, and now the knight's gone from h4 to f5 to e7, but now I can go to here, because originally the queen was an a6, and now either bishop takes, queen takes mate, or rook takes, or rook takes queen e4 mate. So very, very nice problem. Absolutely beautiful. I didn't know this existed. I mean, I wondered even if anybody had noticed the double Novotny, because actually once I thought of it, I thought it was a very easy thing to construct. It wouldn't necessarily be particularly aesthetic. The things I produced, I don't have any claim for them, you know. I mean, they do what it says in the packet, but they're not fine problems or anything, because problem composers do much more than that with the chess pieces, sometimes fairy pieces as well. So then this is the original Novotny, which is, the name is after Antonin Novotny, who lived in the 19th century. He was a Czech, a problem composer and lawyer. And this is rather nice. It starts rook f5. If you take it, you go knight f7, and you're either going to play knight d6 or knight g5 mate. And that can't be stopped. So he goes rook f8 to stop those, and now you play your glorious Novotny, bishop to there. And if rook takes, rook e5 mate, and if bishop takes, rook f4 mate. Very nice, I think. But actually, the first Novotny ever shown was by an English guy called Henry Turton. He's the author, he's the eponymous hero of the Turton manoeuvre, which is where you move a piece a long way along a rank or a diagonal to put another piece in front of it on that rank or diagonal, or file, sorry, on a line anyway, and then put normally a heavier piece. So for instance, if you went bishop h7 to b1 and then put a queen on c2, I don't know where the queen starts, but that's a Turton manoeuvre, where you move the piece across the critical square and then put the piece on that critical square to attack. And the original one was actually this, which is also very nice. This is Turton. This is the Illustrated London News on the 27th of December 1851. And it starts, I'm sorry, so it goes bishop g7, threatening rook h4 mate, rook takes. I think, apparently people weren't impressed by this, and the reason I think is that if bishop takes, there's a short mate, and that's the sort of thing that problem composers, who are even odder than chess players over the board, find deeply upsetting, that you should have a short variation. So I suspect that's why it didn't receive more attention. the main line goes rook takes this, rook to there. Now you don't have the defence bishop e5, of course, or what other defence did you have? You had bishop takes bishop would check, that's right. Now you go there, rook to there, and then the excellent move, rook g5 mate. Cutting the line so the bishop mates. I think this is a very nice problem in itself, and I found it on the British Chess Problem Society website. It was mentioned in the Wikipedia article, but they didn't give the problem. Maybe they didn't find it. So this is 1851. Well done, Mr. Turton. Just a shame he didn't get the name, I guess. Then I said, well, the reason that I started thinking about Novotnys, I do like them, again, was that I saw a position on another website with an actual game, I think it was in April or something. Yeah, oh no, it was at the end of January, in which there was a Novotny, which was missed, as they tend to be in a real game. So this one goes knight e4. He went there and he lost. But you go knight e4. And here again I should draw the lines, this line, and the intersection on e4. By the way, it's the same move, precisely knight g5 to e4, as I had in the first problem I composed. And now if rook takes, rook h1 mate, bishop takes, rook d1 mate, or you can delay mate by going king g2, and then rook c2, rook dc g2 check, and I mean there is this line, but it's not very interesting. Here, I don't know any of these. It's not very interesting, is it? Really isn't. So that's also made. So that is, but he didn't see it. And then I said, well, there's this famous example in the Wikipedia page by Emanuel Berg, the Swedish grandmaster. I know a little, and he missed a very pretty, not so easy to see this Novotny. Maybe I should give you the chance to find it. So this is white to play and win. I think white played something like queen e6 and won fairly quickly thereafter. But the best move, the move you should play, is the great and glorious knight f6, a beautiful Novotny. Sorry, let me just correct that. Sorry, Control A rather than was played. Yeah, we might as well get the floating S. That also led Yo a win. I'm sorry, my typing is one of the unwonders of the world, really, isn't it? Okay, 2 a win. Right. Anyway, knight f6 is a beautiful, beautiful move. Rook takes queen g7 mate. Bishop takes queen f8 check. Queen takes queen, and also there is queen c1 check. Sorry, knight f6. There's also this move, and you just take it, rather than get involved in king g2, rook f2 check, which I think is also winning, but is a bit of a mess. So it might not even be that simple. If you go rook takes and you got in some moves and played queen takes knight at the end, it might be a battle. So this is that one. So then I said, well, of course, what did I do next? Oh, I did the Benko study, which I've done here before, because I first met Novotnys in this Benko study, this one, well, not this study, but in various studies. And Paul Benko did a fantastic version, which goes here, here. G7 doesn't work, by the way, I'm not. And now, of course, everybody thinks rook e6, but if you do, that's a draw. So you have to do some preliminary work first. You go check. Now if he goes to the B file, you have rook c3. Now you go king f2. Here rook goes somewhere. And now you go check. Here is the best square, I think. Here. take. I don't know if it matters if he goes to e5 or e4. I doubt if it does. Pawn equals queen, check. You have to choose a square. Well, if you go to the e file, there'll be bishop takes queen and rook e6 check. If you go to g3, then strangely, the engine tells us that this is a draw. I mean, this is... I don't think anybody would ever really manage this. I think normally white would win in 3 or 4 more moves. But apparently this is a draw. If I turn on the engine, for instance, if queen e4, which is a pretty unpleasant looking move to deal with, queen e4, queen e2, rook b1, queen e4, rook b8. If queen to here, I don't know, it's just so unpleasant. But it is a draw. And so that's very lovely. And I was going to show you the Spassky game. Sorry, you have to go king g1 and then... Sorry, I haven't actually finished that, have I? You go king g1 at the end instead. I mean, Benko proving that king g3 was a draw is such a pain. Maybe he didn't bother, maybe it didn't matter. He got a first prize anyway. It's a wonderful study. And here you just win the bishop. Bishop d5, you have queen d8 check. Bishop to anywhere, bishop to e6, queen d8 check. Bishop to anywhere else, queen e5 check. So there we are. And of course there's no skewer because you don't have the square f minus 2. Or f minus 1 if that's 1, 0, minus 1, I don't know. Anyway, and then I was given this Spassky game, famous game. It's a King's Indian which went hugely and horribly wrong for Spassky. Just didn't manage his stuff right. This is horrible. He decided that if he did nothing, he was going to get his head kicked in. He played the magnificent move knight c6, which I've seen on your man's website. Who is he? The Tim Krabbe's website, as possibly the second most amazing move of all time. He took an hour or something to take now. Didn't go h6, and the game continued, and eventually they got to a position where, unbelievably, Spassky was better for a move, I think. I mean, you know, they're probably winning moves for a long time. But at some point it got really messy. Now it's really messy, I think. And I didn't analyse it. I know that at some point it was actually winning for black. And the thing is, really, I'm not that interested. I have got analysis of this. I've given it here before. But they actually drew somehow. I don't know if Spassky was slightly embarrassed at the idea of winning the game after what he'd done, but anyway, they drew. I don't know if they were mates. Probably not. He just thought, you know. He probably wasn't that upset, though, after giving... I don't know. Who knows? He's messed up by this stage. And you can't stop bishop to b4 to c5. So, rather an amazing game. As I said, I do have notes to this, but I didn't. The point I was making was that Spassky, I left one note in here, and the point I was making was that Spassky understood his position was so bad that he absolutely had to do something before he got squished utterly by Averbach. And that the thing to do against Averbach was to completely change the course of the game and play a move to shock him, because otherwise he just thought Averbach would clean up. He'd play some good moves and the game would end fairly soon afterwards. So, rather splendid. You know, you have to give it to Spassky for having even the idea, let alone actually implementing it. And of course it was lost. I mean, if you ask an engine after knight, well, let's go before knight c6. And let's turn an engine on, and it's going to say beep. White has a big advantage, maybe even a winning advantage. Hello, great beeper. 2.63. Let's go knight c6 and ask again. And now it's gone up about a pawn. but it's become a position that black has some activity and can try to play chess. Okay, I'm going to stop now. I hope you've enjoyed all these things, and I will be back, I believe it says the 6th of April. Just going to check I'm broadcasting. If I'm not, I'm going to scream, and I am broadcasting. So see you in a month.